going to be super easy, fast. You can do it. I don't know how long you can do it in, but I imagine you can do it under an hour and a half. I don't know because I haven't done it yet. So today I'm going to show you how to make a headband, and you'll see what it looks like. It's going to be super cute. I'll put some pictures here of it finished. And so you need 3 measurements. You need the circumference of your head from here to here, the width of the headband, and the amount of space between just behind your ears. So let's go get that. Use the right side of the tape measure. That's 23 and a half. That's 20. Seems a little big, so I'm gonna... That's 18 inches, which is what I'm gonna go with. And then for the width of the band, you kind of have to figure it out. I would suggest like rolling a piece of fabric to the width you want, putting it on, looking at the mirror, see if you like it. I think I'm going to try 3.5 inches, which will make my headband about that big. So, let's get started. So these are the list of materials you're going to need. You're going to need a ruler, a cutting mat, and a rotary knife. Those can be substituted by a ruler and a pencil and scissors. You also need elastic, any width, any size. This is what I have, so this is what I'm going to use. This is 1/8 inch corded elastic. And you also need fusible interfacing. This is mid-weight. I'm using mid-weight because I do not want the headband to fold. I want it to stay square, flat, nice, and clean. And I'm going to use a heavier weight of interfacing in order to achieve that, especially because this fabric is very lacy, light, and likes to move. It's not a chiffon, luckily for me. It does have some structure, but this is what I'm going to use. Okay, so the circumference from behind my ear to behind my ear was 18 inches, which means if you include seam allowance, we have to cut this fabric to 19 inches, which might be difficult because I don't think we have 19 inches here, but work with what you got. And for the width, I'm going to do 7 inches, and I'm not going to include the seam allowance. I'll just take it out of the width, 3.5, because I only have so much fabric and I think I need it. It looks like this piece of fabric is only 16.5 inches wide. So that's what we're gonna use. Work with what you have. And it's gonna look fine. My hair will probably cover that up anyway. So on this side I'm going to do a 1/2 inch bigger than the end of the lace because I know I'm going to use 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now comes the part a lot of people don't like. It includes math. We have to figure out what piece, how long the piece in the back has to be. So in order to do that, we take the circumference of her head, which is 23, minus the amount of this piece. And this piece is going to be 15.5. So 23.5 minus 15.5 should be about 8. So now, I'm going to take a piece of fabric. Because my cord is very small, I only need a very skinny piece of fabric. If you're using a thicker piece of fabric, you make it twice as wide as the elastic plus a 1/2 inch, and you'll use 1/4 inch seam allowances. So I need to make this 8 inches. But it needs to be stretchy, so I'm going to add 3 more inches. So this piece for me is going to be about 1 inch wide by 11 inches long. So here are the 2 pieces of fashion fabric you need. Remember, the width of this one is going to vary on how wide your elastic is. I personally would have preferred using like an inch wide elastic, and if I had used an inch wide elastic, I would have needed to cut this piece to 2.5 inches wide. I, however, do not have that long of elastic, so my strip is only an inch wide. The next step is to cut your fusible interfacing. I'm going to cut mine long as the main headband piece, but as wide as half of it. And that's not half of the whole piece, that is half of the final piece. So I'm going to be using 1/2 inch seam allowance. This is a 7 inch wide strip of fabric, which means that the final length, the final length is going to be 6.5 divided by 3.25. So I'm going to make my interfacing rectangle 3.25 inches wide by 17 inches long. Excuse me. Now comes the fun part, and that is to shape the headband. Now I don't want just any old headband. I don't want it square. I want the ends to curve. So in order to do this, I am going to take my headband, fold it in half, hot dog style, or I'm sorry, this is hamburger style, and then I'm going to fold it again in half, hot dog style. And now I can make one cut in this corner, and it's going to be symmetrical from both the X and Y axis. I'm just going to use my rounded ruler to make that transition really smooth. Now you open it up. And that's the shape of the headband. Now the last final cut is cut the elastic. And I'm not going to tell you exactly how long you need to cut this elastic because every elastic is different. But I will tell you that mine, when tight, needs to be 8 inches long. So I'm going to take my elastic and stretch it out to 8 inches, like this. And I'm going to release it until the tension feels more comfortable between my fingers, because I don't want to make myself have a headache, but I also want it to stay on my head. So that seems reasonably stretchy. So for this elastic, that's 7 inches. So I'm going to cut this. Okay, now that we have all of the pieces cut out, we're gonna start sewing. Excuse me. First thing we're gonna do is sew this piece in half. Like this. We're gonna stitch from here to here. Okay, so for this, we are sewing, oh gosh, I can't see anything. We're sewing from this end to this end, but we're not sewing in the middle. You'll see why in a little bit. While I'm at it, I'm going to sew this little guy in half as well. Hey, Butterscotch. Okay, so the next step involves an iron. So you're going to take your headband, you're going to turn it inside out, then like this, with the seam middle. I guess this is right side out on. The center as best you can. It's not perfect. You're the only one who's gonna know. Now we're gonna put it inside out. And we're gonna press this seam open. Okay, now that you've got that seam pressed open, we're going to flip it over. We're going to take our fusible interfacing and put it face down, which is bumpy side down, on our headband. Nice and smooth. And then we're going to fuse it, which means put your iron on high steam. I have mine, actually I'm gonna make it a little lower. You don't want it too hot because you don't want to melt, you want to melt the glue, but not this fabric. And then high steam, and you hold it for like 20 seconds or so. 1, 2, 5, 6. And again. 5, 6, 8. So we're gonna go 11 because I did here. It's too much. Start a little brown. Don't want that. Just do it nice and fused. You just got good at that. Now is where the headband gets its nice shape. We are going to stitch here, 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 and here. Now, ideally, this would be the width of your elastic. Make a nice, smooth, even transition. But because my elastic is very small, this needs to be a little bigger for me. This ritual of asking to be let in and then asking to be let out. Now that we've got it all stitched, the step is to get this excess out. The least bulk, the better. Do not cut so close. You cut through your stitches. That is a no. That is bad. Okay. See here, I cut way close. Don't cut that close. Leave it like that. Turn it inside out. I'm just going to press it one more time. This is why we have this opening. There's no there without putting so much on these. Now if you cut close enough, it's going to want to fold out, or you have it cut and sewn. So just let it do its thing and press it. Well, actually, just gonna go in very carefully and push that crease out. Without opening it. See that one is starting to open. It's just too close. And we're going to repeat that on all four corners. Okay, now that I got this all pressed, it's very nice, smooth. You have the opening in the back, and that will close by hand stitching at the very end. Now we have to flip this inside out, which I will do off camera because it's going to take a lot of careful finger movements because this is very small seam allowance and this is very thin and tiny. So I'm going to do this off camera and get back to you when I am done. Now I just finished flipping this teeny tiny tube. Now I gotta put the elastic in it. Okay, now I've got my little piece of elastic. I'm going to stitch here and stitch here. See, that's nice and stretchy. It's perfect. It's so cute. It's so cute and tiny. I love it. Now what you're going to do is you're going to flip the end side out one more time. I'm going to reactivate this interfacing. A little heat, steam. Go. And then I'm going to thread my elastic inside. I've already done on this end. Put it inside. Then you're going to center it in the middle, just like that. And because my elastic is super skinny, and only because my elastic is super skinny, I'm just gonna wrap the excess over, make a little burrito, put a pin in it. Then I'm going to stitch here and here at 1/2 inch seam allowance. And that's the headband all done and ready to go. That's what it looks like. Got cute little pleats. That's from wrapping it around the center. This one's not quite as tight as the other one, but that's all right, because it's going to be on the back of my head anyway. So now the last step is just to hand stitch that together, and I'm going to also decorate my headband. I'm going to put little pearls in some of these dots to make them look more like flowers, and I'll come back with the final result. For this, if you want it to be quick, do use a whip stitch. If you want it to be seamless, do a slip stitch. But for strength and stability, I'm going to be sewing through this to put my beads on. So I think I'm going to use, well, I'm going to use a slip stitch, but there's going to be visible stitching on the back. If you're worried about visible stitching on the back, you can always do the embellishment now and then close it. But I want the extra stability. I'm going to close it and then do the embellishment on top. Now comes the fun but entirely unnecessary part of decorating. So what I want to do is, because this is going to go with my daisy that came out last week, I'm going to embroider daisies, or daisy flowers, I should say, daisy beads, into my headband. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cute little daisies, and for the centers I'm going to use seed beads. I also have, I think I have bigger ones, but I'm going to use a variation of these beads. These to create leaves, and then these to create centers. Touch these, but I have them just in case. I'm just going to sew these down. Okay, so I just finished making my design. So now I'm going to start stitching. This is the center. This is where I want our first flower to be. So I'm just going to come up through the bottom, put on a pearl. Of course, these aren't real pearls. I got them at a store called Dollarama, which is very good. They have good pricing, very affordable, but it's hit and miss. So now I'm just going to do the rest of the flower. So here's the final result. I started making it at 12:30 and it is now 5:30. So with all of the beading, everything, it took 5 hours. That's designing, cutting, sewing, measuring, and beading. So bulk of the time was beading. I think I finished the headband itself in like an hour. So you can whip one of these up really quick. I love the way it turned out. And it doesn't push my hair out too much in the back because it's very thin elastic back there. So maybe that's the benefit of using this cord elastic. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. I really enjoy everyone who takes the time out of their week to watch my video. I want to say a big thank you to all 29 of my subscribers. See you in a couple of weeks.